right, come on in. If you are here, go ahead and put a comment in the chat so I know that everything is working correctly. Check my chat here. All right, we're gonna wait just another minute so we can see more people in here and make sure everything is working correctly. Go ahead and feel free to make a comment in there so I know who is here. You can tell us what grade you're teaching, if you're virtual or if you're on campus right now. I am actually still virtual, so I'm still home teaching from the house every day. So which is one of the reasons why I'm not in a classroom, nothing in my background, because I have been home since March. So hopefully eventually we will get back into the classroom, all of us. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started here for those who are in here. My name is Heather McKenzie, and I run Special Treat Friday, and I make teaching resources for teachers. Most of my focus is on project-based learning and teaching writing. Those are my two favorite things to teach, so those are my two favorite things to make resources for. And I love helping teachers, whether it's new teachers, experienced teachers. I love learning from the things that I've done, the mistakes that I've made, because I've made a lot of them, and being able to help other teachers not make those same mistakes. I also love making different resources so I can help you be home with your families more. So the purpose of today's teaching is to help you with writing in your classroom. And I have learned this way through a lot of mistakes and through a lot of ways that I have done things incorrectly. So from my experience, I have created a curriculum that works amazing with my students. My students come in usually at a first grade level. They come in knowing, not even knowing how to write a sentence, and the lowest ones will leave usually writing 4 to 5 sentences, and the higher ones are writing about 8 to 10 sentences. So the system has worked really, really well with my students, and I wanted to share a little bit about how that works well with my classroom. You're going to see me kind of look away a little bit. I'm looking at comments, excuse me, and looking at my notes so that I can make sure I get everything. All right, so I'm going to start off with the way that I teach writing is through a writer's workshop. Now, what is Writer's Workshop? Well, Writer's Workshop is a way of teaching writing in the classroom. It's not a curriculum. It's more of a routines that are set up in your class. It's a lot like at the first couple weeks of school, you're setting up those routines. This is how we line up. This is how we sit in our seats. This, when the recess bell rings, you do this. It's setting up those routines, but specifically for our writing time. And also with Writers Workshop, our goal is for our writers to be independent writers. Even at a first grade level, our writing time works like a well-oiled machine in the classroom because each student knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing, what step they're on, and you could come in as an outsider and ask a student what part of the writing process are you on? And they would say, oh, I'm on the rough draft, or go move to another student, oh, I'm in the editing process. So they know which process they're on, and they don't have to ask you as a teacher, okay, I'm done with this, Ms. McKenzie, I'm done with editing, what do I do next? They just know, oh, I go to the next stage of it. And so they know that process. It eliminates those questions, and they feel confident. You've got those boundaries up, they're confident, and they move on to the next stage. So that process is that looks good at the end, or when you've got everything going. But at the start, to build up Writers Workshop, it takes time. Just like when you get that new group of students first week of school, it takes time and consistency for you to get to the point. You build that stamina. It's the same thing with Writers Workshop. You start bringing in little bits and pieces of it, and then pretty soon, a month, 6 weeks later, you've got this routine that's going. So depending on the age of your students, their experience will depend how long it takes them to go through this process. So how do I fit writing in to my day? I have seen a lot of posts recently of different teachers saying, we only get 15 minutes of writing. How do I fit writing in? The way that I fit it in is I alternate science and social studies throughout the school year, and writing gets fit in actually with our science or social studies time. And I fit it right in there, and it becomes what we write about. So if we are learning about the solar system, our writing topics are all going to be about the solar system. If we are learning about maps for social studies, then our writing is going to be something that's going to tie into it. If we're learning about famous people, we're going to be writing about famous people. So I try to tie those areas in so we can cross connect those, and that way I can get that writing time in, and we spend a little bit more in. So Writers Workshop will work with when you have anywhere from 10 minutes a day to 30 minutes a day. I would average in the classroom about 20 minutes a day, probably 3 to 4 days a week, and we were able to make this progress in there. I also loved using Writers Workshop because it helps me to differentiate in my classroom. And it's a time where my high students can really make progress, and they can really kind of work on their own and do even higher projects, where my ones that are lower ones can work at a lower level. Nobody understands, nobody gets that somebody's working on something different. They have no idea because they're all doing their own thing. And so it's that time that you can really differentiate and give the different assignments. So with my writing curriculum that I use, there's differentiation that's built in throughout the whole process. So I love Writers Workshop because since you're all working at a different pace, nobody knows that this student is only writing 4 sentences, but yet this one over here is writing 10. So the students don't get that. They'll see it in the editing process, but they don't really say anything. They might say, oh, you don't have enough sentences. And the kids usually, they say, oh, that's all I was supposed to have. So it's a great way to get that differentiation in. So the first thing that we do with Writers Workshop is you're picking your genre that you're writing about. So generally, narrative, opinion, informational are the main genres that we will write in. A lot of teachers I know like to do narrative at the beginning of the year, and then informational is generally after Christmas break. We work on the informational time. Sometimes I would mix it up. I like to mix informational in kind of throughout the year, because our standards at our school have informational there's a ton of the standards point to that informational. So we will work on informational a lot throughout the year. And so informational gets done a lot. And again, like I said before, we fit that in with doing the science and the social studies. If you have any questions so far, feel free to put them in the comments, and I'll try to get to them as I see them come through. So I'm going to be using the genre informational for my examples here, because I think that's going to help most of you. I believe that's where a lot of you are at right now. So that's where I'm going to kind of start there. So we start always with, when we're introducing a new genre, we start with a big attention getter. I'm going to use the example of plants. throughout this whole example. So if I'm doing an attention getter for plants, it might be showing a video about plants if you're virtual. It could be reading a fun story that has informational in it, and you're showing them that this is different than a narrative story. This is an informational, and they're seeing that mentor text, that example. You might go for a plant walk. Even if you are virtual, you can have the students go on their own plant walk. Go on a plant walk and come back and draw the plants that you saw, or describe some of the things that you saw looking at the plants along your walk. If you're in the classroom, you can go for a plant walk around your school and give the students a clipboard or something to write on, and they're taking notes about the different things that they see, or they're drawing pictures. So actual writing is not really happening at this point. You're just getting them excited about the topic. The next part of it is the I do, we do, or I'm sorry, I do, you do part of the process. So when you're starting a new genre of writing, you've got to show them exactly the pathway to go. Even one of my daughters in 6th grade, in her ELA book, they have a model essay in the ELA book. They're still giving them that model of this is what's expected, now you do it. So they're giving them those ideas. It's used all along the grades because kids need that example, and they look at that example. Eventually you do take it away once they get the routine down, but they need that example in there. So we start the I do, you do at the very beginning. So we're going to use that topic of plants. In my writing curriculum, I do, for all of my informational writing, I choose this method with informational writing. So I'm going to show a little bit of that today. So it's best to have some type of an anchor chart if you're at home and you don't have the big anchor chart. I do have the anchor chart, but it doesn't fit in this tiny screen. And so I'm just going to use a piece of paper that I have prepared for you. Sorry, go out of the screen for a minute. But so you get your anchor chart ready, have the students, they're sitting on the rug or at their desk. And let me kind of move this down for a minute here. So here's my anchor chart. A little bit here. Sorry. So we've got peanut butter, jelly, and peanut butter and jelly, and I've got them labeled 1, 2, and 3. So with my curriculum that we use for informational writing, this is how I teach the informational writing. So we're not actually talking about peanut butter and jelly, we're actually talking about plants. But we use this concept of peanut butter and jelly. So first, I ask the students, what do you already know about, we're going to do the example of the parts of plants. So what do you already know about the parts of plants? So what do plants already have? And let's say Sarah raises her hand and she said, plants have flowers. So we write that down in our peanut butter column. Plants have flowers. So I've got that down in my peanut butter column that plants have flowers. Okay. And then I'm going to ask for another fact. What's another fact? Okay. Darren says that plants have leaves. All right. Good job, Darren. So we write plants have leaves. And this is a very basic example for like a beginning of 1st grade class here, that they're only doing the 2 facts. So where we can differentiate is you can give them a paper that has 3 facts or 4 or 5. It's up to you the type of differentiation that you're going to do. But for this first example, we're going to keep it very basic so we can make it shorter as well. So Sarah says plants have flowers. Darren says plants have leaves. All right, the next process is we're going to read something about plants. It might be a close reading article. It could be a book that I have, a picture book. It could be a video that they're going to watch about plants, or a mini book in my plant curriculum. I have these little mini books that they read about plants, but they're going to read something about the parts of plants. So they go through, and this can be something that's done in a small group. It could be done as a whole group. It could be a little teaching lesson. So they're learning something about plants. And so then we meet back up, and the jelly column is something new that they've learned about plants. So this is a fact that they learned about plants. And you can do this in two different ways. It could be something to where this fact has something to do with what we already knew. It's a little bit more difficult as they get, or as they're younger. I'm sorry. As they're younger, it's a little bit difficult to do this. As they get a little bit older, it's easier. But with good modeling, they start to look for the right things. So we're looking for a fact in our resource that we just read that has something to do with flowers, and we're looking for one that has something to do with leaves. All right, so a fact that they might have just read would be that let's see, flowers are food for bees. Okay, so let's go ahead and put that. So flowers are food for bees. So we've got that in there. And then my next fact, I've got plants have leaves. So I want to do something that is going to be a fact. So I'm going to say that the leaves help bring sunlight to the plant. Okay, so, and these would be something that they got from their reading. So leaves help bring sunlight to the plant. Okay, so why do we use the peanut butter and jelly example? This is why. So we've got down here. Let's see. Sorry, I can't get the angle quite right on here. So we've got our peanut butter here. Oops, right here. So when you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, when you start off, you've got the bread, you've got the peanut butter, and you've got the jelly. They are two separate things until you put them together and they become peanut butter and jelly. So we've got our, let's see, our peanut butter is plants have flowers, our jelly flowers are food for bees. When they're two separate thoughts right now, but we're going to mush them together to make them peanut butter and jelly. So we're going to bring these both together and we're going to form what we have is an inference sentence. So it's taking something that they already know, putting it together with something that they knew, and creating a new thought on here. And then it's this number 3 sentence that they're going to actually be using for their writing. So to smush these two together, I could say, I can keep it really basic for my first grader and say, plants have flowers and flowers are food for bees. So all I'm doing is just adding an and to smush those two together. Down here, plants have leaves. Oh, I forgot my period. Leaves help bring sunlight to the plant. So I could say plants have leaves and they, using that pronoun, help bring sunlight to the plant. So I'm just smushing those two sentences together. I'm using something I already knew, something new, so that way they're not copying. It helps them so they are not really realizing that they're copying the sentence, but that they're using the two different things here. While I'm writing these down here, if you have any questions, please go ahead and put those in the comments so I can address those, and then we'll go on to the next thing. But I want you to see how this will look all together. So we have plants have flowers and flowers are food for bees. All right, so this is how that first one, let's see if I get it in here right. Plants have flowers and flowers are food for bees. And if you are teaching virtually, you're able to do it the same exact way that I'm doing here now with your students, because you're talking to them and you're getting these facts from them and you're showing them on your anchor chart. All right. So plants have leaves. I'm gonna change that for a second. So we have plants have leaves, and I'm going to say instead of the other word, I can't remember what I said. I'm going to change it to which. So plants have leaves which help bring sunlight to the plant. Okay, so here's how it's looking. Again, this is the kind of the easier model. So here are my two sentences here, my peanut butter and jelly sentences. These are the ones I'm going to be using for my next step. So this is all part of my story map. This is my brainstorming part of it. And then I'm going to move on to the next part, which is, oops. So the worksheet that they're going to be doing is going to look something like this. However, they wouldn't do this. You can have them do this with you while you're doing this, that they're copying it onto here. That way they get familiar with this process. Then they take what's on here and they're going to be moving it into their story map. So let's see if I can move this a little bit closer. So you see the introduction sentence, which we're not going to touch right now. We have our inference 1, inference 2, and the conclusion. So my number 1 and 2, those sentences are going to get moved right over into my inference 1 and inference 2. And so they've got half of their writing already done. Now, if they're doing 3 facts or 4 facts, it's a little bit longer. They've got space for all of those on there. And then I go into more details inside the curriculum on how to teach writing the introduction and the conclusion sentence. I don't want to go over that right now, but that's certainly part of it. So once they've got the story map finished, they're ready to go on to the rough draft of it. So when you're doing Writer's Workshop, this introduction part of it, they're still not on their own for the process. We're still working together on as a group. This paper right here, we'll probably all work together as well, because we're practicing making an introduction sentence and a conclusion sentence. We're doing this all together. This is going to be their model that they will look at. So then we go on to our rough draft paper. In my classroom, I have certain paper that is just for their rough draft. I use this for a few reasons. One is so I know what part of the process they're on. And then they also know what part of the process they're on. That way they know that the rough draft, it can be a little bit sloppier. They don't have to be as neat with everything. And it just kind of helps us it makes it easy to see where they're at in the process. They do the rough draft, and then after their rough draft, it's time for the editing part. This is another part of the Writer's Workshop that I wanted to introduce. So with the editing part, I have up on my whiteboard, we draw a little box and it says editing on there. When a student is done with their rough draft, they walk up, write their name on the editing box, walk back to their desk. When they're at their desk, if there's no other name in the editing box, they get out a book to read, they work on something else. As soon as the next person comes up and they put their name in the box, there's now 2 people that need editing done. So let's use Sarah and Darren again. So Sarah goes up, she writes her name up there, and then Darren goes up, he sees Sarah's name up there, he writes his name, crosses off Sarah and his name, goes and he sits down with Sarah. The 2 of them trade papers, and Sarah grades Darren's first, goes through and makes the marks. It's best if they're sitting right next to each other, because then they're not confused. They can ask each other questions. They just need to whisper. However, if that's too noisy in your classroom, you can have them do it separately. But then the next student, as they come up, they put their name up there, and then this process works that they just know what part of the process. As soon as they're done with the editing, they go and they get their final draft paper. Now they're on the final draft part of it. I wanted to also add the other step in there is the question box. So there's the editing box, and then we've got the question box that's also up on the board. If they have a question about their writing, What drives me crazy about students is who raise their hand and have a question and then just sit there and do nothing else. So our rule is they put their name in the question box. I can clearly see who has a question and how long their name has been up there, and I can help them as soon as I can to answer their question. While they're waiting, they're supposed to continue to work if they can. If they can't, they get out a book and they silent read and they look through their book silently while they wait for me. The other way that I deal with the questions and have what is called little mini lessons with my students is as I am going around um, looking at students' work, I can stop if I see something wrong and have a little mini lesson with them right then and there. It might be 30 seconds where I look at Darren's paper and I say, oh, Darren, it looks like you are missing all your capitals. Where are the capitals supposed to be? And we go through and we look for them. He finds them and then he finds the rest on his own. Or walking around and somebody has a question on what comes next, and then I'm able to just do a little mini conference with them at that time. The other thing that I do that I really like a lot is as I am grading my papers at the end of the day or kind of flipping through, I won't look through all of them, but I use these bright little mini post-it notes and I write one word or two words. So it might be like Darren's might say capitals on it that I notice quickly on his paper. I stick it to the top. And so then when we do writing next time, I hit those kids that have the colored little stickies on there and I conference with them really quick. It might be Sarah. I might look, you're working really fast, Sarah, and I appreciate you working so hard, but look at how messy your handwriting is. I need you to go back through and write it a lot nicer. And on hers, it might just say handwriting. And that way I've got these bright little papers and they stick them to their desk and they know that I'm going to be coming by to talk to them about whatever's written on their paper. And then in between, I will hit those kids whose names are in the question box. So those are a couple of the processes of Writer's Workshop that helps make it really smooth flowing. And so the editing box and the question box are big ones that where the students feel like they can do something about it rather than sitting with their hand raised. I've had writing periods where students are sitting there for 10 minutes with their hand raised and they've done absolutely nothing on their writing. So this process helps them, I can see, oh, you know what? Leah's name has been on the board the entire time. I need to make sure I get to her, or I need to get to her first thing to the next time we have writing. So those are really important parts of the writing process. All right, so let's use Sarah as an example. Sarah is a fast worker. She's gone all the way through her rough draft. She's edited with Darren. She's now done her final draft. So she is done with it. So what does Sarah do next? So this is where I love Writer's Workshop because Sarah knows, okay, now she's back at the beginning of the process and she gets either a close reading article or she's assigned a book to read about plants, or I give her a topic. So maybe the topic is, have it written down here. Oh, I thought I did. So maybe it's how do plants make food? And so I'm giving her a close reading article specifically that's going to be about that. So she gets her story map papers and her close reading. So she's working through that process. Because she's a quick worker, she can do a lot of that on her own. Now, where the differentiation is good is at first we did the 2 facts. Now, if I feel that Sarah's ready to move on to 3 facts, then I can give her that additional paper where she's getting the 3 facts, and then it's taking her a little bit longer and a little bit more work for her to do to research those 3 facts that she has to do. The next process go around, Sarah might be ready for 4 facts. Or she still kind of wasn't as fast and she needs those 3 facts again. So Sarah gets her new close reading article, her story maps, and she starts working through that process of it. And then as she has questions, she can go ahead and put her name up there on the board. So that helps for that advanced student like Sarah to be able to do some things that are harder or to do a little additional research, where I have a slower student, let's say Leo, is still, Sarah's already on her next one and Leo's still in his rough draft stage. And so I get a clear idea idea as to who needs some help, and maybe those ones who are all in their rough draft stage, we work on them during some literacy group meetings. We can kind of work together in those times to get them to speed up. Or what is it? Maybe Leo, as well as a few other people, need a little mini lesson on what's holding them up. So those are the things that I really like about the Writers Workshop program. There's so much more to it that I would like to share another time. I just wanted to give a little bit of an introduction to how Writers Workshop looks like in the classroom. I have a couple of resources that might be helpful to you, some free resources. I do have a blog article where I go through all the different steps and kind of give examples. So feel free to check that out on my website. I'll put a link in the video comments as well so that you'll have that. I also have a free resource in my TPT store that it's got a little ebook that goes through all of these steps as well and gives a lot of details. So that might be helpful. And because we're doing this talk about writing, I'm going to go ahead and put all of my writing resources on sale for 20% off. They will be, today is the 14th, so they'll be on sale the 14th, and the 15th. So, and I might do the 16th. I'm not sure. I have to look at what I had planned on there. But go ahead and check on there. I suggest getting them earlier rather than later because I don't know if it'll be on the 16th. I have to double check. But so all my writing resources will be on sale, 20% off. If it's informational, opinion, or narrative, all of them. And then I have a couple bundles where I've got it all bundled together. So go ahead and check those out. And if you have any questions, I will be in the Facebook group that you can go ahead and ask more questions. I don't see any specific ones on the comments, so we'll go ahead and end our time together. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and please let me know if you have any other questions. And the next time I make a video, I will go ahead and talk additionally on the topic of Writers Workshop and give some more pointers on that. All right, thank you so much and have a good weekend, and hopefully you get an extra day off this weekend. Bye.